Vmz Zamski Gvops is Zirah Lazu Ziu Azoxi Ahgu Gzgb Merker is the Lisbuma chant that I got for Satanic Front. And witchcraft is of the devil. Hate, death, and evil. The adversary is upon disincarnate spirits and demons toward a servicing rhetoric of sacrifice and the immoral. Amoral return to an official operator. And any thought to open with concerning that chant or the Belphegore sigil or the Satanic Front sigil?
Sure. Every is where it's at. And yet, still a dark time. You know what one could call a dark ahead. Yeah, it's still discovery. It's just time to dig in deep. And consistency.
I'm sure you've encountered some of it, but there's this idea of tools, specifically weapons, like as an extension of the self. And so that's one of the things that comes across with this seasonal, is not only is it the tools becoming an extension to the self, there is an opening that's supposed to be occurring, particularly with the Belphegore rite, that it's not only dedicated to it, but it's like, you know, it's an open-ended thing. Like we're not using the magical circles that are supposed to protect us or something. That's not really the thing. There.
About the magical circles, like I have used one once before, but usually I don't, because I just feel like I am. Like there's nothing for me.
That and why are you working with forces that you don't want to engage with? Or you're you think you're ready, but then you're not ready. But then again, you got to break on through the other side. Sort of the point. So I'm going to get into the green, what I call the green verses here. So 208, and throw whatever comment to use this. So, oh believers, come to full submission. Do not follow in the footsteps of Satan, your acknowledged foe. So that's a different way. So,
Found my notes from last year's spring equinox, and that is the first time I thought, the three realms. And I thought, first saw them in layers, but more knowledge comes to me, in bits. It kind of adds
together. Things overlap, and people think of things like there's some sort of hierarchy that like if you look at the clip-off or something like that, or those charts or something, and it's like, no, the fire being and the light being and the human and other incarnate being realm and all that stuff, it overlaps with each other. It's not that like they're layers of a cake out there, and the top layer is like a causal, and then you have these other beings, and then you have humans. It's it's layered together, but more like on a different dimension, sort of. They see you where you don't see them, and
we'll build together. Right? The only way I can explain it. It just build that.
So the chant I got for the seasonal itself, Merker Wabhaz wabum, ahgu, lammi, zum, zu, hazyamaz, mizkaz. You end up with mizkaz is blade, merkur is servant official, ahgu is sacrifice, zum is spring, ziu is someone in the cause of, and I'll let you know about the others when I get to that page. I didn't write out a full translation of the chant. But the other one here, people talk about the twists, and so while the others would stay on nature, nature and all that stuff, the twist upon nature. So 19 and 20. Okay, no, I guess that I was thinking 119, 120, but this one, oh, believers, you're not allowed to perforce the women into your heritage or tyrannize over them in order to deprive them of what you've given them, unless they are guilty of open adultery. Live with them with tolerance and justice, even if you do not care for them. Yet, for well may be that you like a thing, yet God may have endued it with much goodness. If you want to take another wife in place of another you're married to, then, even if you have given her a talent of gold, do not take back a thing. Would you take away a thing by slandering and using unjust means? One of the things in America, it used to be legal for there to be forced marriage to a certain degree. They didn't have full-on bride kidnapping, but they had shotgun weddings and stuff like this, and that literally weren't, and it wasn't just it's literally something that nothing was done about, and so it's not acquiring by force and stuff is definitely a useful thing, but an opening things, either instead of tying things down and probably oppressing both people, are the idea that if something's to be done, it's not whether you like a person or like it's what it is. So regardless of one's path, I think one can kind of get that sort of stuff. Bosom, okay, bosom I got.
There a note from, I just found it in the page, a few pages back from last year.
Okay, I got another word. Yimaz is sword, so I may have the word for knife in there. A blade is in there, so I guess that counts as knife. Okay, continue. I just want to make sure I got. I'm trying to put as much meaning to this stuff as I can. So share your. I thought you were going to share something, Micah.
That wrote, "Do not hold back their power, and it rain down as needed, and as past needed before now. Even though timing is late, it is better than not at all." That's kind of interesting. I wrote that last year. I'm on this.
It's important, even if something doesn't seem to relate to the ritual, to kind of maybe make a note of it. There is distraction that's like obvious or something like that, but it's as a rule, there's like something that seems like it's not related, but
But it just comes when it comes. That's pretty cool, though. Pretty cool. It can end up relating to things.
and well, that's as I'm saying, there's these very much attacked, people can call it an egregor or whatnot, attached to verses here. And you have discard the visible 620 is discard both the visible and invisible sin. For those who sin will be punished for what they have done. And what people sin relates to the term of like the idea of mistake, right? And so so in a way you can say, well, I don't consider it a mistake. So there's that. And 142, the same thing. He's created beasts of burden and cattle for slaughter. So this brings up slaughter, so that makes sense for this one. So eat of what a causal has given you for food, and do not walk in the footsteps of Satan, who is surely your declared enemy. And the ozira is the term for adversary. So that's it comes in that way too.
Further notes on the steps and parts and the other two that come to you. I have wrote knowledge can be further worked with. Things like steps start adding to an increase. Knowledge is a type of power, especially when put in action, per se.
Yeah, that's one of the things I keep saying. There's two types of fanatics. And some of the literature talks about the fanatical whatever, but they don't mean it in terms of the confusion where you think that the temple or the teacher is it. And nor do they mean this sort of, so a more base meaning of fanatical is that are the people who just claim a path, but they don't live it. And it's like, so the emphasis on real world deeds that you're actually putting things into your thing. And, the satanic front symbol, it's basically you are the solar principle, you are the tool, but then again, your other tools. And this thing came here like, I don't know, it relates to, if you look at the Belphegore sigil that I got there, it kind of comes across like that triple whatever. You got the, you think of maybe, what's the word I'm trying to think of? Not sulfur. Well, the people say brimstone is like different from sulfur for some reason, but
Could see like a little creature type thing. I'm looking at the symbol now. I can see like a little creature type thing. Wow, maybe that will yes.
so
For newness. I'm gonna call it newness. I don't know if that's a real word or not, but I created it. If it's not a real word, newness.
Okay, wabhas is the stop or the slowing or forming a limit, which is sort of the opposite of zipti. And so that's the words that I think I'm going from that chant, but I'm going to finish with this portion. 7:22, and lead them. And led them by the seat when they tasted of the tree, then their disgrace became exposed to them, and they patched the leaves of the garden to hide it. And the Lord said to them, did I not forbid this tree? And I told you that Satan was your open enemy. And well, so the enemy that opens to the one forbidden thing, right? Because that's sort of how the Adam and Eve story goes, right? It's like one, everything's allowed except that one thing, and it's like we want that one thing. And so 12:5, he said, O son, don't narrate your dream to your brothers, or they will plot against you. Surely Satan is man's acknowledged foe. And so dreams, right? A lot of see, that's another problem with people who are just turning things into like some armchair study or it's rituals only, is that you have these experiences, and it's like, oh, it's sometimes important to control access to people knowing what your experience is. Like some of the places, it's like if you tell people you even see light in your rituals, like or diamonds or shapes or something, and it's like, this is not the sort of thing that I don't think most people can handle correctly, it's not even worth mentioning. But you should be able to, like, I've been to places where the tradition is they don't practice that tradition, but as far as that religion is that you show up at dawn and you tell your dreams and you interpret other people's dreams and stuff like that. And it's like, in my temple, in my temple space, in my whatever, I'll, I'm open to that practice. But other people don't, it's generally not practiced because people even believe that people don't dream anymore. And it's like, it's probably too much coffee and other things and medications and not eating right and staying up late with the television.
Now, I know someone really close to me. She had a dream of our deceased relative, and she come to her and like give her like a type of warning. She told me about it. Sure enough, she was right. So, dreams are very fascinating to
At the
me.
very least, it processes the stuff from your outer life. But then again, other entities can play involvement too, and some of these entities would know things that you don't. But even if it's just you're processing things from people that you knew or whatever, is that can come through, and it can tell you things that you can't otherwise figure out.
Mhm. Mm.
But I've my grandfather, I think the first interview I did that I remember was my grandfather. I didn't do this. It's not, nothing's recorded with him for the channel or whatever, but the very minute they said he died, I woke up in the middle of the night and all that. And when it comes to a certain person that I've talked about, I've told some of the story before, that sort of thing, represented the going over various spirituality types and stuff like that. That person, if I'm asleep, I will know when something goes on with her. Either like if she tries to contact me and she can't get a hold of me, or if or something happens with her. I don't need to go into all that here, but dreams is one way I kind of know about that. I've literally said on my one program that, yeah, was it the something about the robots or pink or something? Anyways, it's one of the Enochian experiences. It's clear which one it is if you listen properly. And I found out that 1713, around each man's neck we have hung his ledger of deeds, and on the day of resurrection we'll present it as a book spread out. But the thing about that opening up of one's deeds, you should really open up your own deeds on your own while you can, not let the final results of anything be a surprise to you. Because people go so passively, they don't make an account of themselves. They don't think about something. They just, do.
Discovery it's powerful. It's not easy, but it is powerful.
And well, the Sufis talk about the 70,000 veils. Well, I mean, they probably talk about it more, which is why I say that it's a typical Islamic narration. But but once you tear off a few of the veils, it becomes so much easier to tear off the rest of the veils. Like there could be a couple veils that are so difficult, and then like you tear off the 1,000 more. And breaking the 1,000 chains and all the 70,000 chains and all that other stuff. There's references like that cue you into stuff like that. Yeah, well, yeah, you're conditioned. You're just people born again. You're people. I mean, it's a useful phrase in various types of traditions. It's not just a Christian thing. People think, but it's not in a way, it's not quite, oh, I felt good in church, so therefore, no, no, it's more than that.
Right.
Um, but yeah, it's you're just fine as you are, but you need to develop, and if you don't do that, then other stuff kind of creeps in, and it's
Yeah.
not the stuff that creeped in that you like. You can intentionally do that, like maybe it's on your feed. There was somebody who recently did a awakening video,
Okay.
and that video, basically imagining the darkness, and you're dealing with your repulsion sense,
Okay.
and all that sort of stuff. And some of it's just like you're just not used to stuff like meditation techniques that vibrating in your nose and your ear and stuff like this, and you're trying not to sneeze or and other stuff. But once you do it a couple times, it's not this uncomfortable thing or whatever.
Sometimes, like, I'll do what I call meditation, and I say the E over and over, breathing out, and my voice will change, and that produces like a feeling, and it
Well, the inner dialogue that most of us have, like for example, when we read silently. Now some it's like a full-on voice and stuff like this, and that's part of what people then mean by channeling is you put yourself into a mode where you're what would whoever do. And so if you're the people who are what would Jesus do or something like that, they think they might end up thinking that Jesus is actually, but no, it's your what you think would say that, right?
yeah.
Um, and so that answers a lot of stuff. What's this one? 1817, you may well have seen when the sun came up, it moved away to the right of the cave, and when it went down, it turned away to the left, and they stayed in its open space. And this was among the signs of God. Whoever is guided by, well, I'll just say a causal, follows the right path, and whoever goes astray will not find a guide to show him the way. And one of the things that I was saying the other day about the round Wytha, is you're trying to be guided by nature itself. That book of nature kind of indicates some things to you. It tells you which herbs and plants and woods and all that to use ritually of what you've got available. And it
No.
it tells you, it's like, okay, it's a causal abstraction. It's a real thing, seasons and all that. But it's kind of beyond that. But you do acknowledge.
Like, fill out, and then, for example, fill out things, and then you go outside and you simply walk across your grass, and it's like you feel the grass, you can feel the trees. It's just great.
It's like when you get yourself into a trance, and then like in my temple room, I have 3 rocks, and I'll put my hand on 2 at a time after doing a ritual, and it's different. It's like you can almost feel movement inside, or energy with it going out or something. Yeah, it's because it's merging with, for the most part, it's just because it's merging with your aura. That's what people who have big, expensive rock collections. Well, I've taken years collecting rocks, but and some rocks, something goes up $400. It's not that I paid $4 for or something. That's not, it's kind of misleading. Maybe you think how much some of the stuff I have is worth, but then again, a lot of people go off and have a bunch of expensive rocks, but really you only need, if you want a ritual collection, like for example, I have a bloodstone that is, green and, you know, red, and I guess a bit of other color, but it's an agate. So that gets me more standard grimoires. I got groups that have related to the Order of Nine Angles stuff. Which is agate bloodstone. I have this citrine, so an orange quartz sort of thing. You see part of it that's not orange, but so I have 3 approximately 4-sided stones for ritual, and that's one of the most important shapes to get. But then again, you can get just a round stone, or any stone that's reflective enough. if that's what you're really doing. But you really don't need a big old collection of rocks and stuff. It's like, I need to spend an extra $20 to get my Libra stone versus my other stones, or something like that. You know, you don't really have to do that all that. It's not about, you know, and I think it's that we talked last time about it's not about wearing black or especially if it's just it's just you're putting on red and black makeup and having fake things or something to like I saw this video, this woman put on like a fairy outfit, like a white thing with or maybe it's supposed to be an angel, but it was like the wings were colored, and it's like, this is your ritual outfit? What is with that? You know? And she just felt like that, but I'm surprised it didn't get more views just for the sake of people poking fun at it. I mean, I don't think that's the right approach, but you know, and she mixed up. She didn't use any one of anything. She kind of mixed up parts of stuff, which is it's fine, you know, but
Yeah.
you play around with stuff, you make an art with it, like and yeah, you know, part of the reason why the 666 and the Sorath, it's the value of Sorath, Son of Man, it's the value of a bunch of stuff, but you have the numbers 1 through 36. So a 6x6 square is the square of the sun. And you know, the tool symbol, it kind of relates more to Poseidon, but in voodoo, Vodun related paths, the Belphegore sigil, you have, you know, the male and female shown there in, you know, in terms of the pitchfork, because they have a square pitchfork and a rounded pitchfork sort of thing going on, but that's just, you know, what came through there. 25:25. The day the heavens split asunder with dazzling white cloud gathering, and the angels ascend in a continuous stream, and by angels we mean light beings, but the way this universe works, like we know with the nuclear power and stuff like this, is that we end up with forces that open things. And sometimes, like some of the disasters and volcanoes and stuff like this, there's people who see visions associated with that. Just like when you look at the edges of rooms and shadows and flames and stuff like this, it's a place where you're more likely to see those things. It's not that necessarily they don't exist elsewhere. It's just, you know, that in between stuff.
2020, when I had the vision of, oh, it was just awful. Don't know if it was a worse thing or what. It was like a really bright orange colored sky, like trees didn't have limbs or leaves; they were just black and still.
Yeah, things are going to happen eventually, and they want them to happen sooner than the real rulers of they want things to happen other than sooner than otherwise. But there's also the aspect of what these experiences are on your inner thing, like the year I started to see gems. I started to see gems in my rituals. So the jewels that I saw, you know, they'd just be on generally they would be on the floor or something. And but you know, it's but something's being refined and worked out. It's like a lot of precious stones in real life, you might not realize they're precious. Some of the most valuable diamonds and stuff, you know, look neater than most stones, but you wouldn't necessarily know that it's the most valuable thing you've ever seen. And I've never found it quite myself. And this some foolish person on Twitter was saying some stuff about, oh, you'd just be a money cuck, and it's like, excuse me, we're not going to. You think the people pushing this principleless communism this super mundane communism idea where we're going to just spread everything out, they're going to stay wealthy themselves. It's like, did you know that in the USSR, it's the like 1% of the population still own 25% of the resources. So it wasn't for the rest of the thing. And now it's not as drastic like in America. Literally, you have 96% of the wealth owned by 232 people. And, you know, and they, of course, they control, you know, politics and all sorts of other stuff with those resources is how they get that thing. And, you know, but it's like, it's more about doing what you can. It's like, I know a lot of the so-called secular symbolism in the media and stuff like this isn't. But then again, are these people that are running the show really the master magicians? That it's the people under them that really are. And so again, your own position, but when it breaks on through to the other side, 37, 145. So we cast him sick on a barren shore. So when the thing, when the gourd was opened up, and the thing of the sea had enough air in there for him to survive long enough to survive and not get dissolved, you still end up with the idea that, you know, when it's over with, there's something after to do something with. Because some of these experiences are difficult. Like, you know, I've mentioned some of my health problems. It's like it can be like your bones are breaking or some other stuff like that, and or like you're on fire and stuff, and then the medications. Oh, you know, but once it's done with, and then again, you learn how to meditate in the middle and all that in the middle of all that. And by the way, I haven't said to the audience yet, but the graphic is her her wood piece with the sigil on it, and 8110, the curtain drawn back from the skies. And so what some languages talk about the spiritual realms and the physical realms with different words. The Bible kind of blends it all together, so it's not as precise with that. But here we have the idea of there's another dimension. People talk about all this other stuff, but there's the spiritual dimension that opens up. And 8612 is again, and the earth, which opens up with Berger. So we're having the micro and the macro cosmos opening up with all that. And so can you just share your thoughts about anything that I've been bringing up here? And I'll close, well, I'll probably just, when we get to that point, we'll close the program with the,
more, just feel more at ease.
and of course, I will try to get a few programs. See, I don't know what will be recorded, right? When I do stuff that like where I think it was one year. It's like I don't even know what happened to the technology. It wasn't until the ritual was over, but it was like that deplorable world book as far as some of the stuff I experienced, and I've tried to get into that area and yoga in terms of my Lunasa rituals as the of several days into August, is that it opens up. It's like the void is a real thing, but it's a color just beyond what you're seeing. You have that weird blue that's darker than our black, and like the void has teeth and flesh and all that sort of stuff sometimes too. It's that Purusha realization, the many mouths and all that stuff in some of the Vedic texts that it talks about. But and of course the macro and the microcosm is sort of the thing that I can throw together with those last two verses that we were looking at, is that the micro and the macrocosm they blend together. You know, if you work on one, it works on how you process the other. And so the Belphegore chant again, Belphegore, of course, relating to the opening, you know, the Lord of opening up. Yavo Odzum Ease Never E. Let me start again. Yo Odzum Ease Nevux Zgums Hezmevum Vatli Blitza Gazhagzach. So any world at the moment.
I've made it kind of personal, you know, like blending in and, you know, blends together. Kind of like the spring equinox last year where I was showed the three, and now yeah, I've discovered that it's blending together again. Things are coming from that, like the self-discovery. You know, you think you know yourself, but you might not know everything until you dig deep, and it's hard, but it puts me at ease. You know,
Well, it's like I talk about with the black alchemy thing that you have when you go about it. It's like things that you didn't know were there, you're dealing with, and then you're dealing with it in a way that, okay, you're setting some of those things will be transformed and used towards something else. Some of them will be completely broken down, and
rip it away, or it will be. Shall.
okay. And so I'll get into some of the stuff as we go along, but First Corinthians 8, chapter 10, verses 8 through 12. Translate now when I do the rituals myself, I say the verses and I respond to them. So this is one of his sets of rules and stuff too. So neither should we commit fornication, according as some of them committed fornication and fell in one day 23,000. Neither should we tempt the Christ, according as also some of them tempted and by the serpents perish. So they're trying to put Christ. They don't literally believe he's the Christ, but they call him Christ. But and neither murmur ye, according as some of them murmured and perished by the destroyer. Now these things, all types, happened to them, and were written for admonition, or on whom the ends of the ages are arrived, so that he thinks to stand, and let them take heed lest he fall. And well, it's talking about the we're going to get into the rest of it with the other references, but there's the Belphegore cult, and so sex and serpents and and some stuff like that was involved in the whole thing. But there's a difference to be had between just being somebody who falls with the group and somebody who's owning the situation, and of course the idea too with some of that stuff, it's not just to, oh, you're your own person and you're off doing whatever you want. That's not entirely it either. And but I'm trying to figure out if you have any thoughts. I'm trying to look up. I'm looking through my whole book here to try to figure out what the words in our Belphegore chant are.
So much. What's broken? Reset note. Where are you? I think I wrote yesterday. And the day before. I have my little list here. The two, three
Okay,
candles.
some of them is rain or hail. And you know what's happened? You know what they think's about to happen?
Okay.
That the biggest storm that Denver has had in a few years is going to hit. Um,
Flood, a heavy rain cause of flooding. I don't know.
okay, yeah, Tismobum, it also means lazy, not acting on what is known able to be. Okay. Well, that's an interesting combination of rain, hail, or not acting when you could have been acting. That's an interesting. Well, don't fall for it like the one movie they talk, oh, the East Coast is going to be hit. It's like if the East Coast is going to be hit, other places are going to be hit too. So wandering off. It's just going to cause panic, and it's going to mean that people it's like you're better trying to hide in your home than you are trying to, go off and do something else somewhere else because you hear stuff's going to happen on the West Coast, or the East Coast or whatever, right? Now, if it's a tidal wave, maybe you have a point, but
Oh.
but it's happening at the moment. It's like people talk about these threats and stuff. It's like the point is that you sort of be ready to die, sort of be ready to survive. It's all more or less the same category. It's what happens or doesn't happen. You're able to dedicate it thereof. Psalm 106, 25 to 30. They grumbled in their tents and disobeyed the Lord. A lot of people, they're like that, Something's easy enough, and almost all the problem they get in their life is because they just fight stuff for no reason. And that's part of the thing too, is like you got to, you don't run around and kill, whether you're hunting or anything else. It's um you got to you gotta have a self-mastery about this sort of stuff. But having fighting just to fight, it's at least like, you know, I don't know why Twitter's better than it was, but it's still, people are there just to fight, and you realize that, and it's like, okay, it doesn't even make a difference if you're trying to do something of value. They're still, off on you for no good reason. So he raised his hand in oath to make them fall in the wilderness, to disperse their offspring among those who've turned their backs. Got to be careful when when you pick up a Bible. What do they mean by nations or whatever? Maybe that's not quite what they mean, because Gentile is not the same thing as a non-Jew. Gentile is the word used for Jew too, if Jews of a certain thing. So, and to scatter them through the lands, they attached themselves to Baal Peor, ate sacrifices offered to the dead. And some people, it's like a bathroom thing, but the dead in the bathroom, that's become part of the cult, and that apparently was part of the cult. They provoked anger by their deeds, and a plague broke out among them. Well, obviously, if you're there's risk involved in whether it's the dead, the remains of the dead, or the bathroom stuff. There's some risk involved with that. That's probably what happened. And I don't know what this guy's name means, but Phinchas, but they typically say Phinehas. So Pynchs stepped forth and intervened, and the plague ceased. And I wouldn't be surprised if that means something, but we can't get to that here. Maybe we can, but what was, I'm still looking through trying to figure out what some of these words mean. So something, well, is the word for hell, right? So we got that one. I remember that off the top of my head. Obsum is suggestions, transformation. So we definitely get into the temptation category, but it's really broader than temptation. It's more along the lines of it's, you get suggestions from a dimension other than just, you're making a mundane decision.
And I was just looking at this that I wrote recently. Why do you feel the way you feel? And being really honest with yourself, answering those questions hard that you find in your mind. Because one cannot be honest to themselves, nor can they escape their own self. So, honesty with oneself produces a type of growth that unsurpassed, or I can't read my own writing.
Yeah, it happens to me too. So gubbas means weaken defense. So we got another word from that chant. And ease nevux is measurement.
I like that. Just sounds cool to me.
And
it'll come.
Yeah, sometimes the meanings of the chants do not catch up to the receivings of the chants. So, or the figuring out of the chants, or however these things go. So Joshua 22:16-17. In reply, the people declared. So, okay, we do have the word for people there, which, is part of the word Emmanuel, which doesn't mean, it's kind of a contrary to, it's funny, the Bible has meanings in its names that undo some of the doctrines people have. But they declared, far be it for us to forsake the Lord and serve other gods. Okay, it's not the Lord, it's increasing existence and to have service towards the the so-called deities that people have put behind. For it was God as a verb and noun, the deity of dwelling. It's not our Lord, it's the new ending is dwelling, or the place. And so when they say I'm new all, we are saying it's the people dwelling, belonging to or controlled by El. So it's not, anyways, that's not really a related point too much, but so he brought us and our fathers out of the place of bondage, and wrought the wondrous signs before our eyes, and guarded us along the way that we traveled, and all the peoples, I'm trying to get that, yeah, it does say peoples, through the midst of which we passed. And so rather than whining like a lot of people do now about their ancestry, are wanting to blame themselves because of what they found out some of their ancestors did. It's really acknowledging, you acknowledge the situation, and when you realize the situation that put you in the situation that helped set up your life, then you can it opens more opportunity with it. But when you have this racial guilt and this racial trauma and stuff doctrines put on you, it messes you up before you even start, 1559, Marath, Benanath, and Eltekon, 6 towns with their villages. So basically, you know, it's people that you know, this relates to the whole Belphegore cults drama. So anybody using these verses ritually can obviously take their decide what side and their own response. Like, I don't know if any of my ritual I've done some of them with the languages and stuff like this, and what I'm responding isn't necessarily a translation. And it's not necessary, and it's tending not. I don't believe in the ethnic authority of the Jews. I don't believe in the apostolic authority or whatever other sort of authority of the Christians. I don't side with a lot of their theology, so that's, you know, not what I'm saying.
Right.
And I definitely don't favor I don't know whether you call the Saudi family cowards or what their problem is, but you know, because they're just, it's like, oh, you take the side of this country and then you just say, oh, you just, you know, we're going to condemn, you know, it's like they have a lot more power than people realize. You know, one of the richest families in the world. They have they have more than one of those 232 people that I've mentioned. And they're always going to have that as far as we know. Joshua 13:20, Beth Peor, the slopes of Pisgah, and Beth Yeshimoth. So the house can also mean the temple. So when you hear this bait stuff, you can see people that are using the temple of a particular cult or whatever. Deuteronomy 34. What was it? 34. This is how you know. This chapter, it's not related to what we're talking about here. But never again did there rise in Israel a prophet like Moses, who it's like, well, see, and never again. But there was an individual that arose afterwards that was again. So it's not it can't be Jesus. But we hear that it's going to happen with the brethren of. But anyways, how can this be the book of Moses when they're like, oh, never again was there anybody like this guy? And it's like, wait, I thought these were the 5 books of Moses, and the books of Moses end with that. And Moses had just such awesome power that nobody was like that again. As it, you know, so that's how it ends. And so verse 6 here, he buried him in the valley of the land of Moab near Beth Peor, and no one knows his burial place today. And is that because of the cult and they wanted to disassociate with the cult? Or is it because they didn't want some cult over some dead prophet in the ground?
Right.
Either one is a reason, because I've read about how the idea is that some people were given a prophetic gift, and it's like, I was told, but I was also told that you can't know. And I do believe that some of that happens. It's not just gatekeeping, because you want people, if there was 10 best nights of the year, why not use the 10 best nights of the year and catch them, rather than just going one night and knowing the system and trying to find that? Or maybe people are going to miss that totally and be like, whatever. Or if there's a place, and it's like, but if people search for the place, there's going to be more benefit. There's going to be more of an effect in society than just go here, do this one thing. Sometimes there's other stuff that's done along the way that's not necessary, but it's better that that's all done too. You know what I'm saying? And so Deuteronomy 4:46, beyond the Jordan, in the valley at Beth Peor, in the land of King Sihon of the Amorites, who dwelt in Heshon, and Moses left the Israelites defeated after. Oh, who Moses and the Israelites defeated after they had left Egypt. And so one of the things that happens, though, you find out elsewhere, and I've brought that up when it comes to that, is that the people of that West Bank, the people of the people on the West Bank and some of the people beyond, they're going to eventually conquer the people that represent the people that showed there. So it's interesting that, okay,
Mhm.
but so it's showing value to this here. It's indicating there's value to the place of that cult, but maybe it's not important at this point to get into the cult itself. And so here's the meat of the background of the story, I guess. And now, O Israel, give 4:1-8. And now, O Israel, give heed to the laws and rules I'm instructing you to observe, so that you may live and enter and occupy the land of the Lord. Not the Lord. Okay, I don't like when it translates Lord when that's not really it's meant. The increasing existence, the power over those you take to be your ancestors. Oh, that's interesting. It's not even the ancestors, but because that's what people say. Is giving you, you shall not add anything to what I command you, or take anything away from it. That line in the book of Revelations is only talking about that one book, or maybe giving instructions for what to do about spiritual books, willy-nilly, whatever. But so it's not, and it's one of the first books written in the New Testament. The first books written were the book of John, and which was a rewrite of something about Bacchus, and the Revelation of John, which was a rewrite of Barabbas's book, which they actually have copies of. I've seen it in Aramaic before. There was a book that reprinted it. But anyway, it's so but people think that the thing was like, oh, after the book of Revelations, no one will have any profound spiritual experiences worth writing about ever again. And anybody who writes a book about their spiritual experiences, they've done something very, very bad. That's not what it's saying, you know. But keep the commandments of your Lord your God that I enjoin upon you. You saw with your own eyes what the Lord did in the matter of Baal Peor, that the Lord your God wiped out from among you every person who followed Baal Peor, while you who held fast the Lord to be your God are still alive today. See, I've imparted to you laws and rules, as the Lord my God has commanded me, for you to abide in the land that you're about to enter and occupy. Observe them faithfully, for they will be proof of your wisdom and disconcernment to the other peoples on hearing all these laws. Will say, surely that great nation is a wise and discerning people. For what great nation is there that has a God so close at hand as this? God is a verb and noun. It does say divinity here. Whenever we call upon him, or what great nation has laws and rules as perfect as his teachings that I set before you this day. So there is ways of places and things and all that sort of stuff. But the impression that I see with this passage relates more to the ideas that let's just look at what the English says about the rules and command and laws are like something different. So there's like a way to things, and then there's explicit details of that. And just like the verse 3:28, give Joshua his instructions and imbue them with strength and courage, for he shall go across the head of the people, and he shall allot to them the land that you may only see. And see, okay, so sometimes things are not open to you. You don't have the experience if you don't go through the steps. But it sounds to me that what happened there was that cult was okay. I found another word before I get into Numbers 31:15-18. Because is proceeding before, or going after, or finishing it, or starting it. So it's working with the edge, or beyond, but it's not quite the same meaning as zepti. And okay, 31, where was I? 15-18. Moses said to them, and all these names mean something. Musha is the keeper of the sheep, and that kind of relates to the story, right? Moses, Eleazar, 15. Moses said to them, "You have spared every female, yet they are the very ones with the bidding of Balaam induced the Israelites to trespass against the Lord in the matter of Peor." And so one entity leads to another, right? Like if you watch the interview with Satanic Manibus, it's like, which demon? It's like, well, you kind of like the whole system, and then that does something, it kind of connects to it, just like path working. You think you go through a grimoire or a spiritual book or whatever, and you think, oh, I only want to reflect on this plane or this entity or whatever. And actually, if you go through things in order or do what or a order or whatever, then you end up getting at things in a way from another angle, even though it doesn't look like that's the one you're going for.
Oh,
So,
okay. Right.
and so, okay, what's after that point? So the community, so in increasing existence's community that was struck by the plague, and now therefore slay every male among the children, and slay also every woman who has known a man carnally, but spare every young woman who has not had carnal relations with a man. And just like I said, my Christian terrorism, or what did I say that, or what did I name that program? They people like to talk about the ethics of the satanic culture overrunning and doing all this. It's like, are you kidding me? Almost all these people turn out to be Christians or something, and the Bible gives them justification, like I heard there. Um, what religions are it's Christianity and Judaism that gives people the right to just conquer and kill and everything else because they believe something different. And I mean, it doesn't give them the right, but you know what I mean? It's if they try to say, oh, they're the moral ones and stuff like this, and it's like, that's not how it works. And we have Numbers 25. I'm going in reverse order, for they assailed you by the trickery they practiced against you. That's actually, I don't like how people use the word magic as hate speech. Because either people are skilled or whatever, I don't like that the use of any of these terms. Like pagan and heathen is not really a religious classification, and people it's like, oh, you're a hillbilly because you're not a Christian. It's like, it's not the same thing. And nothing wrong with living in rurally, right? Whether you're the plain or the hill or mountain or whatever, it's because of the effect of Peor, and because of the fair of their kinswomen, Cosby, the daughter of the Midianite chieftain who was killed at the time of the plague on account of Peor. And the Midianites are so important because Moses went to a place. It sounded like Moses went to Mecca when he was out there. And 1-9. While Israel was staying at Shittim, the people profaned themselves by whoring with Moabite women who invite the people to sacrifices for their gods. So temple sex and stuff too, I guess, was part of the problem thing. The people partook of them and worshiped that god. Thus, Israel attached itself to Baal Peor, and the Lord was incensed with Israel. And the Lord said to Moses, "Take all the ringleaders and have them publicly impaled." So Vlad von Par, when he poked all those people, when he had all those people impaled, he had a biblical precedent there, But so that the Lord's wrath may be turned from Israel. And Moses said, "You don't have to torture people, so you're not punished." It's like, I don't, that logic. So Moses said to Israel's officials, "Each of you slay those of the men attached to Baal Peor." Just then, one of the Israelites came and brought a Midianite woman over to his companions at the side of Moses and the whole Israelite community, who were weeping at the entrance of the tent of meeting, when Phinehas, son of Eleazar, son of Aaron the priest, Yeah, this Phenaios has some great magical power according to this stuff. Maybe it's even a role. I got to look up that name. Saw this and left the assembly, taking a spear in the hand, and he followed the Israelite into the chamber and stabbed both of them, and Israelite and the woman through the belly, and the plague was checked, and the Israelites were checked, and those who died of the plague numbered 24,000. And some of the things are related. Every number also means other stuff, but here it's more like they say 24. Okay, 420,000. So they don't quite go like that. And let me read the last verse, and I'll look it up. I'll go look it up when you say the comment there. So Numbers 23-28, and that will conclude the verses that I plan to richly connect to. Definitely feed off the energy that's been associated with these things. And the continuing war thing that keeps on. I didn't really plan it like that, but that seems to be how I'm pointed towards the war theme after war theme, the Tiamat, the wallowers of Tiamat, and look at this oppression done by the other side and all this other stuff. And people want to get it's like, okay, if you're going to get into that sort of myth, it's better to be an empowering sort of myth, right? But Balak took Balaam to the peak of Peor, which overlooks the wasteland. And then there's the context of the altars and all that other stuff. But comment for a second. I'm going to get my dictionary to kind of help me with the meaning here.
Hold on real quick. There, what you said earlier, it made kind of reminded like going through a grimoire. I don't pick out like this one certain part. I have to go through all of it. Go read through all of it and do.
And it's important to have a basic thing that you can work with. So the peen. I'm thinking that peen is the corner, the turning, the chief tower, the bulwark, the stay, and chus. So I'm thinking we're working. I think we're working with two separate roots, but we'll look things up separately in a second here to see if there's something we can do with that. So we're looking at a diminishment, a support or refuge. So you're turning towards a refuge. So it's somebody who can bring the thing inside, or turn something out to a different direction. But let's look here in the 3-letter roots. So that looks sufficient as a meaning of why this guy would have the power that he does mystically, is that name nails it down. And we should have Nutchus. Okay, we don't have any proper Nutchus term. And I'm going to look at another one. I'm hunts. Okay, we don't have that either. Not even punch. Okay, so yeah, I guess that's why he had his power. If you throw in a comment, I'm going to change I'm going to do my slideshow. So this is the graphic I have for the Belphegore sigil. Sometimes my sigils seem to be linked with that. I put on my sacred stone. I've sent you the picture before of that for this seasonal. And right now I have it inside next to another stone that I use ritually. But I put the sigil in red on the handle. And the altar with this with the stones in a row as a wand. This is 375's altar, and my items, I have the SRA satanic front sigil dog tag. I have my little yellow alien little thing, spaceship looking container. I have my unikite. I have my seasonal and connected, somehow connected to the Order of Nine Angles, but it's not Order of Nine Angles groups. I'm not saying Satanic Front is that. I'm not saying Satanic Front is the myths that they do, but they do point out sometimes some of the dark stories in the Bible, but they don't take the side, whatever. And then I got my triple ring that I found, and my other that I guess somebody gave me a piece of costume jewelry, and a pair of red candles and a green candle, and then another green candle at each of the quarters.
Stone that I've got my one main stone just outside, and I wand. And I left it here, last night in my little room. Of course, I went to bed, slept, and got up this morning, and I noticed there was 3 stones that, I don't know how it happened, but these 3 stones are off of my wand. And I had them secured. I used like little tiny different colors for different stones, rubber bands that, kind of fasten the stone onto my wand. Well, the 3 stones this morning, I noticed that they have fell off and the rubber bands are broke. So what I want to do is I'm going to incorporate these 3 stones that just fell off. Nobody was in here. Nobody messed with it. They just fell off. So I'll use these 3 stones.
Yeah,
And
sometimes stuff happens, and it's
that's pretty cool.
but sometimes it's like it's almost like there's some like specific Midas, it doesn't really relate, but Hakorp is the word for eclipse. I don't know, I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do with that one, but it's such a rare event. I got I will almost surely, and I have a sigil and everything, so I'm pretty much committed at this point that I'm going to go do something, but I don't I don't know what this blipsa word is. I'm not seeing it here. And I think just okay, what is this? Okay, it's one of the words. Increase, decrease, into the rise and fall. Okay, so bleepsa is definitely a word I have meaning for. I just want to get it. So I think it relates to increase, and yeah, and the point, one of the points with my rituals and stuff like this is you can. I'm not saying that people can copy my material and post it all over in their own whatever, but I'm saying that their intentions, their other aspects of consciousness or beliefs or practices or whatever they want to do with it. There's some stuff that people have done while my videos are playing that I don't personally want to hear about, you know what I'm saying? But other than that, but people using their stuff in their own private practice or watching one of the videos with their friends or something like this, I don't have any issue. Okay, rise, ascend, increases, bleepsa. Okay, so again, it's about and increasing. So when it's all over with, it's not just like, like the Satanic Front handbook. We have this talk of this story, the Belphegore Consecration story, and well, it's dramatic, but and I guess that what if something like that happens in real life, you actually, in that case, you don't hope that's not the case, but again, you can use that, right? And things go on. And I think I might as well close if one wants, and you can do the reading if you want to. But the poem I composed to weave together the themes from the Satanic Front handbook and the general idea of the Baal power, as it's properly pronounced. Baal power comes forth and descends with a sense of worth. In this place, for this purpose, it travels from the north. Eat in the east and drink in the west from what is poured forth. With crystals transfixed to bone, it is permeated within the trough. 9 times it spins raw. Beyond physical and psychic barriers, these stars are born on earth. The green night is torn like shadows in the sun. A link is formed from what we've won. A memento is taken. You still there? Okay. It's taken from what has hardly begun. The banner has marked the place where we become, like the beauty of stars wove, the horror within sight, and sound around candles rose. Identities are not overcome, but in the vast and vital dark. Oh, identities not overcome, but tied together in the vast and vital dark. Accidents are offerings that will not be taken back. It is not a hallucination, but a rainbow that is taken by others as black. The animalistic marks and the enlivened find interpretations. We are the regenerations. Nurture all the manifestations. The alterations shatter the lack and enshrines the hidden beyond day and night. Any particular thought?
So every that is a way of overcoming illusion. The knowledge and the power. Knowledge is power. Blending it together, and moving away. Old, what needs to be, shall be removed.
And you notice, okay, the Green Knight. Honestly, when I think of the Arthurian knights and all that, the Green Knight and Black Knight is where it's at. That's where the story's where it's the most useful one. But see, so he's gone to the in between and using but the link is formed, so he conquers by being torn apart, basically. But it's not it's not some just needless self-abuse or something like that. But yeah, I and just like the one verse that I chose, one of the verses that I chose also had a direction. Like when you face north, the sun rises at the right and it sets in the left. Is that the direction the face is? It to the right and then the left? So and then it's night. So we're using the different times referred to here. And of course, I think I should state again to make sure both programs have reference to everything. Tuesday, the 19th of March, 2024, 8:06 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, 7:06 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time, 6:06 p.m. Central Daylight Time, 5:06 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And is Hawaii 5 or 6 hours from the East Coast? So is it or is the oh wait, no, that's not how it goes. I did that backwards. So the Pacific time is behind, so it would be what, 6:06 p.m. or 5:06 p.m. for Hawaii time, and Mountain time would be 9:06 p.m., 10:06 p.m. Central, 11:06 p.m. for Eastern. So yeah, I messed it up, but I fixed it, so you know. And